Welcome everybody. To ELPA has the pleasure to host a very special guest today. I will give you some info about her. On May 11, 2021, Hélène Drouin officially became the youngest French woman to climb Everest. Intern in anesthesiology, she used the media resonance around the project to raise awareness about hepatitis B and get people talking about INSERM U1052, the French Public Research Institute. Hepatitis B is an area that she tackled during studies, during an internship in Lyon with Professor Fabienne Zulim, a friend of ELPA, but also a very famous specialist in hepatitis B. Through her project and communication campaign, Hélène raised around 8,000 euros. So I'm very pleased to welcome Hélène in the ELPA family. Hello and congratulations on your success.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm really happy to be able to talk with you and to all the people of this association.
I and ELPA is also very, very curious to know, climbing the Everest is an accomplishment that very few can achieve. That's quite obvious. What gave you the idea to climb the tallest mountain on Earth and to link it with medical research and especially hepatitis B?
Well, that's a very long question, but I'll try to answer shortly. I've been initiated to mountaineering since I was a little girl. I grew up in England for 14 years before moving to France, where I'm currently studying, as you're told, I'm a resident in anesthesiology and intensive care. And so I continued doing a lot of mountaineering. I climbed with my mum the first glacier when I was 11. And then I think I realized when I was about 17 that we have to explore the capacities of the human body and the human mind, and that we can be surprised to what extent we can climb summits in our life. So every year I was challenging myself with more and more difficult sport activities. I did my first marathon when I was 20, climbed the Mont Blanc, which is the highest summit in Europe, when I was 20 as well. And then each year I was doing more difficult sports events such as cross-country races, Ironman, 2 half Ironmans, 1 Ironman. And then 3 years ago, I did an expedition at 7,000 meter high in Kyrgyzstan. And in 2 weeks, I was able to be acclimatized at that altitude without oxygen. So the next step was going to be an 8,000 meter. Now, of course, during all this period, I've been studying, and I'm still studying to become a doctor. And as you said, I was very, very lucky to do an internship in Professor Fabienne Zulim's laboratory in France, where I was initiated to medical research. And it was only quite some time afterwards that I realized to what extent hepatitis B was a major public health issue worldwide. And I continued keeping contact with this laboratory and team and followed the advances of scientific research over the past years, which is amazing. And I really wanted to associate my personal project to something on an individual scale a bit bigger by creating awareness on hepatitis B and supporting that research.
Amazing. And I suppose that climbing the Everest is an extremely complex and demanding experience. But you are working in an intensive care unit. Has your background helped you in preparing for this adventure?
Yes, of course. I think we are the summation of our experiences, and I have learned a lot through my training. intensive care is quite peculiar because there's 35% people who die there and another 35% who die in the 6 months afterwards. So I think I was confronted to my mortality as well, and to the situations of patients and families who have to go through very harsh situations in life. And that gave me some momentum to be able to accomplish certain things in my life. And when we have the capacity, when we are willing, and when we want to grow, then I think we can find lots of resources to go further.
I have another curiosity. You already answered me. When I try to picture you, but also someone else climbing a mountain, the first metaphor that I could also imagine was the ordeal and the journey a patient has to go through to recover. Are your patients the one that gave you also the strength to climb Everest? And also, can they represent an example on how to overcome difficulties?
Yes, I've been confronted to very harsh situations, and I've seen huge strength of patients who have overcome illnesses and families who have helped them to get, to go through very, very intense moments in their life. And that strength that comes from almost the dead is huge. And so that, of course, motivates me as a human being, really, to appreciate life and to do great things if I can before I die. But also not only patients, but scientists such as Fabien Zulim, huge people who are climbing mountains of knowledge and science and overcoming a lot of fear and apprehension of these huge unknown things of medicine. Their work over decades really is inspirational to be able to as well, personally grow and overcome struggles.
I went through a bit your blog, because just for ELPA and the people that then we will listen to our interview. Hélène has a blog that you can find easily on Googling her name. I noticed that your passion for medicine and research is impressive and is witnessed by what are you saying? And you also already said that it's thanks to the internship with Professor Zulim that you decided to launch this campaign to support research on hepatitis B. As Professor Zulim is a close friend of ELPA, and we are working together on a big project on hepatitis B. Can you tell us a bit more the experience of working in the field of research on hepatitis B?
I was fortunate. I was selected across the country in France as an elite association of students. Very few got selected to be introduced to medical research, and I was luckily allowed to do an internship for 3 months during my third year of medicine in Professor Zulim's laboratory, where I could see the real work of scientists. Even though I know that it's not a vocation for myself, as a doctor, I'm the first to support medical research. It's only through medical research that medicine is what it is today. And it's thanks to people like all the teams that are doing work on hepatitis B over decades that things go forward. And so I kept keeping contact with this team. Fabien Zulim has told me that there have been new treatments that are in clinical phases 2 and 3, very promising, that would help to have short-term treatment that would improve strongly the quality of life of patients who today go through very heavy long-term treatment, and that the perspective of one day with a good vaccination across the world eliminating hepatitis B, that could be plausible and possible. So there's a lot of hope at the moment. Again, I admire all the people who support this research, because we need a lot of patience, a lot of decades, a lot of work, and a lot of support across the world. But there is a lot of hope for patients worldwide.
Yeah, just to continue to chat a bit on this topic, when I interviewed Professor Zulim, I'm talking from the perspective of a person who is not a medical doctor nor a patient, a liver patient. I had a kind of epiphany when he explained me that the medical research around finding a cure for hepatitis B was almost zero, because there was already a vaccine. And he told me sometimes it's difficult, even inside the scientific community, understand that it's not the same having a cure and having a vaccine. And he told me that at the beginning of his career, he struggled to get funding for scientific medical research on a cure for hepatitis B. And I was like, I've never thought about that. And it was really interesting, I have to say. So I now with your words, I can put, yeah, you know, your two experience together, and my understanding is even better.
Actually, on the subject of that, sorry, I'm interrupting you, but
no.
I'm also supporting this research, not only because it's a huge, major public, healthcare issue. Over 250 million people across the world are chronically affected, and there's over 900,000 deaths per year, not counting all the patients who are undergoing very heavy long-term treatments. But it's also, I must admit that now you're talking about it, my acquaintance with Professor Zulim, who I didn't fully appreciate when I was in my third year of medicine. Now I'm in my 9th year, and having seen many professors of medicine, I particularly admire Professor Zulim for his intellectual honesty and his humanism and his humanistic views and his honest desire to, help science progress and help find treatment. And that is, priceless. So I'm also supporting this man.
Okay, we are slowly getting to the end of our talk. The last thing I would like to ask you is if you have a message for our liver patients and for researchers in general.
I have not the pretension of being a patient. I'm not a scientist. I'm just an intern. But from the experiences I had, and the fact of climbing a summit, symbolic summit such as Everest, I know that things that inspire are people who do great things and who keep having hope. And there's always hope. Maybe it will take some time, maybe to find some treatment, it will take decades, but there is always hope. And as a community, it's really important to support one another, to support this research, because there are great scientists and great people and great patients with great stories who are bringing hope to everyone.
Thank you very much. I think that we don't have to add anything to your last word. I just would like to thank you on behalf of ELPA and all the liver patients community. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you so much, Beatrice. Thank you.